No intro. There's no intro, dude. It's not on.
What do you mean there's no intro?
There's no intro. Like I tell you, when I can't hear it, we do this every week. No, it's not turn up the volume. If I can't hear it, Facebook can't hear it.
Good morning.
I mean, nothing playing off. I mean, we do this every week. There's no intro right now.
All right, that only is when my earphones are plugged in. You just see my headset, but it's not plugged in. So
I'm telling you, I'm going over the air. I'm telling you, I'm trying. I tell you,
it plays it when I play on the playback. I hear it.
No, you don't.
On the playback,
go listen to it. No, you don't. And go tonight and see if you hear it.
I will after the show. I'll play it for you.
Go check last Thursday.
Do it.
Stiz, if you're watching, did the intro just go over? You gonna start or what are you doing?
I am starting. I thought you were talking. You're sitting there bitching about stuff. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle. As we get into a glorious Monday evening. And let me tell you, I mean, it was a phenomenal time with for this weekend, being up at the game, hanging out with all my Raiders folks, and I'll get more into that on Thursday's show. Because I could spend the whole time. What a great time. I just want to, again, thank you. Angela, tomorrow night you can join us for Life Our Raiders Story over on YouTube. I'll be there to recap the Giant game. But, I mean, what an incredible weekend. It was phenomenal. Everybody was just phenomenal. A shout-out to all those folks. It was great. And of course, it was even better because the Giants came up with a big win at home, 2 home wins in a row for the Giants. What a way to go out on the bye. So it was good. There were some good things. The Giants rushing game came back. They had Booker had 103, but then his last carry got a minus 3 yards. Or had 102 minus 3 yards, so he wound up with 99 yards rushing. Just missed a career high for him, actually. And
that's how you have to beat the Raiders. You got to run the football against them because that pass rush is legit. And Dockway 2 sacks yesterday, forced fumble on Danny Jones. I mean, that defensive line is much better for the Raiders. So the Giants, look, a win's a win in the NFL, so it don't matter if it's pretty or not.
Right, you got to win to your. And I'm stealing this from Carl Banks. Or Bob Papa, I don't remember who said it yesterday, but win to your profile. Your offensive line is terrible at pass blocking. So you got to run the football and put those little dink and dunk pass plays in, and it was able to work for them.
Well, and this is the point in the season, too. Teams should start to know what their identity is and play to it. And that's one thing I'll give Sirianni credit for because he's gotten killed. But he's realized now, I mean, it took him 6 weeks, 7 weeks, but maybe I should run the football. And look, a team like the Chargers who's good, the Eagles hung in yesterday. I mean, the Chargers are a more talented team than the Eagles, and the Eagles hung in, had a chance to win. So, it wasn't, the best performance. The defense was pretty bad. I mean, we got to figure out that side of the ball, but but obviously, sorry, we were talking about your Giants. No, big win for them. But and look, another, with the Raiders, it's tough because, they're trying to get that playoff berth that you've been waiting to get for so long. I mean, obviously, they had one, I think, in 2016, but Carr was hurt, so you kind of knew they weren't going to do anything in the playoffs under Jack Del Rio. But now, you got a loss to the Bears and a loss to the Giants, and that's tough. And guess who you got coming in? The Chiefs. I mean, now it's at home, but I mean, I know they're 5-3, but man, don't you think you got to get this one if you're the Raiders?
Right. Now, I said this week was a must-win for the Raiders coming into New York. Mm-hmm. But it's more important now that they lost to the Giants with the Chiefs, and it's a rivalry game, so it'll be a good matchup, but. when you're coming in and you're number one in red zone scoring, and you were in the red zone 6 times and came away with 1 touchdown.
Right.
That's the biggest stat of the day. That's what sticks out to me. It was that, man.
Yeah, I saw that, Kevin.
Kevin, we saw that, yeah.
And I think that'll help, but Henry Ruggs is much more just a better player. I mean, younger, but, he can help, stretch the field a little bit, and he can do a little bit what Ruggs did. So we'll see, because they did miss Ruggs yesterday. There's no doubt about it. And the thing with the Raiders, though, Coach, like what you said it was a must-win for them. I said it's a game they got to win, because if you're a playoff team, you beat the teams you're supposed to beat. I think every team, absolutely. And we saw it yesterday, every team has that game that, you want to throw the film out every year. Bills lost to the Jags yesterday. Dallas got smoked by the Broncos. It happens. But still, mainly, if you're a playoff team, you beat the teams you're supposed to beat.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. And the Giants were a team you were supposed to beat. And of course, you fall into that stigma of we can't travel east. And that's going to be, that's going to be trouble for you because let's face it, you might have to come to Buffalo. And
too, Coach, once again, you've had a good start, and especially if they go lose to the Chiefs, it's going to be, we've started 5-2 the last 2 years, and then you drop 2 games and you're 5-4. You know what I mean? And it's just, now look, things are a little different this year, because the AFC, you got, a bunch of teams with a lot of losses. I mean, you got the Titans and the Ravens on top with 2 losses, and then a bunch of teams with 3 losses. So, Stiz, the Raiders, I mean, it couldn't hurt. You know who I think should sign him? And you're going to say, and I know people aren't going to agree, but OBJ, I should go to the Patriots. I really do. I think the Patriots are starting to put it together. That defense is playing well. And look, if he's going to get his ass in gear for somebody, it's going to be Belichick. And look, if he doesn't, release his ass. But I think the Patriots are starting to really look like Bill's got them headed in the right direction. And look at it, Coach. Now they're only a half a game back of the division lead in the AFC East.
Right. And again, another place that the Raiders might have to go to play some football is New England.
Right.
If you're planning on playing in January, New England might be a destination for you.
Yeah, it's very possible. The AFC is just it's just so unknown right now. Like, you look at the AFC West, you got, I think the Chargers are in first at 5-3, and then you have 3 5-4 teams: the Chiefs, the Raiders, and the Broncos. So it's a cluster.
Right.
So we'll see. And then too, you got the AFC North. Browns, big win yesterday against the Bengals. They're both 5-4. Ravens obviously are 7-2. And then, like I said, you got the Bills and the Patriots up there in the East. So it's going to be, it's like it should be. You're going to find out who the best team is here in November and December. And that's always, the biggest question for the Raiders. So we'll see. There's a lot, but like I said, all these teams have question marks.
Right. And Joe Stiz, yes, OBJ may be a cancer, but I think if you're the Raiders, you have to roll the dice, because you really need somebody to fill that spot. I think.
I understand what you're saying, Coach, but where I'll disagree with you, he would make them better, no doubt. And look, now teams are trying to take Waller out, obviously, for Derek Carr, but with everything that's going on in Vegas, you have the Ruggs situations. Now you got Arnett, right? And what happened with him? He got released, obviously. Do you now want to bring in OBJ? And yeah, Joe was talking about D-Jack.
Oh, sorry, D-Jack.
Yeah,
D-Jack's mature.
But OBJ,
but I think D-Jack matured. When he was young and he was here, he was a cancer. But I think when he left, he became he matured a little bit now that he's in the twilight of his career.
Yeah, and Stiz, the one thing that shocks me about that, and Joe texted me last night and just says, I hate Stafford. And he said it before the game. Stafford was terrible last night. He really was. And it makes you – I know they're 7-2 and there's a lot of talent. But, man, if you got a quarterback that gets happy feet and, turns the ball over and a mediocre line, I don't know how that's going to be for the Rams. The defense is really good, but I don't know how good they're going to be in January playing good defenses. We'll see. But how about that Titans defense, Coach, and the pressure they're putting on quarterbacks? They lose to the Jets, and then they go beat the Bills, the Chiefs, the Colts, and the Rams quite impressively. Man, the Titans do look good, and obviously yesterday without Henry too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got Adrian Peterson coming back, scoring a couple of touchdowns, one on the ground and one receiving. So it's good.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is going to be.
Are you? I think Nevada Nick. Oh, yeah.
I think you're not going to replace Derrick Henry. You need to try to find two guys, and I don't know if it's going to be AP or not, but that can get close, because obviously, it's going to hurt Tannehill. They're going to need to still have a semblance of a running game, or else you're going to really see Tannehill take a step back, I think, too.
And I said this, I think you're going to see the Miami version of Tannehill if they can't figure out that running game.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. And look, he isn't having as good a year this year, and I know they're 7-2, but he was going into yesterday. He was 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He had 7 interceptions all of last year. We're just at the halfway point of the season here now. So, and they had Julio Jones too, another playmaker on the outside. So you think he would maybe even improve? And look, they're 7-2, so that's all that matters. But we'll find out here. Their offense wasn't as impressive yesterday. It's just Stafford gives a pick six, and then obviously puts them on the 2-yard line. So right there is 14 of their 26 points. You know what I mean? So, the defense is what won the game for them. But look, if their defense can continue to play like they're playing, Tennessee's going to be tough. And Vrabel, probably the best coach out of Belichick yet. I know Flores has the 1 year, but he hasn't been to the playoffs yet. Vrabel's been to the playoffs, so probably the best disciple of Bill Belichick yet.
And Vrabel will tell you he's not a disciple of Belichick because he never coached under him. He coached in Houston. He played for Belichick. So basically,
trust me, he played defense.
Yes, I get you. Still, dude, he may not be a branch. He might not be a big branch. He's a little twig off a branch there. But yes,
but also where he coached in Houston was with Bill O'Brien, who obviously also coached under Belichick. But and it still was I believe they all try to do that Patriot way, if you want to say it. But it's going to be interesting though, because I don't know who I look at and say, man, this is going into yesterday, I really liked the Bills. And boy, they lay an egg with the Jags yesterday. And Josh Allen had a sack, an interception, and a football recovery on Josh Allen yesterday. So I mean, I couldn't believe that one either.
Yeah, but I want to know how many people lost how the knockout pools have got probably diminished, because I'm sure everybody took the Bills yesterday.
Well, Coach, a lot of people had already taken the Bills, but you're right. A lot of people got beat by the Cowboys yesterday, including me. The Cowboys did me. That's why I hate the Cowboys. Anytime I bet them or count on the Cowboys, they always fucking screw me. It's just my, that's the Cowboys just, although I think they'll get it back together this week. That was just, I almost wonder if they brought Dak back a little early, because he didn't look good yesterday. He really struggled. I mean, they made the Broncos look like the freaking, like the 87 Niners. Like, they look unbelievable. But it's, Coach, like I said, it's the NFL. You look at the Titans now, you say, how does a team like that lose to the Jets? You know what I mean? And now here we are 4 weeks later. They've strung 4 wins together against 4 very good playoff caliber teams.
Yeah, but now the big question is their running game. Can they fix or get something close to what they had with Derrick Henry to make them a viable team.
And Coach, I think too, what's fit them, and let me say this, and if you look, the Colts, in my opinion, I had the Colts last week in my game of the year, and I think the Colts should have beat them, but the Colts didn't run the football. And if you look at the 3 teams they beat, what do the Chiefs, the Rams, and the Bills all have in common? They don't run the football. That's how you beat the Titans. You run the football. You got to run the football on that defense. Those 3 teams have a severe lack, and that's part of their game. So I think it kind of fed into what's going on for the Titans, and they could kind of tee off on that defensive line. And that's where Frank Reich was wrong when he, with the Colts, when he, runs the ball 20 times and has Wentz throw it 52. If he'd have gave the ball and turned it around and handed it off to Jonathan Taylor, I think we might have had a different result in that game.
Right. Joe, I think, what was it, the Super Bowl in the 90s?
Yeah.
It was the last time Dallas beat Denver?
No, they didn't play. The Dallas beat Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl in the 90s, and then they beat the Bills twice.
Oh, the Bills twice. Right. My bad.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I agree, Joe. That could have been catastrophic. You're down 30-0. Why are you keeping Dak in it? And once again, Joe, like I said, and this is my problem. I'm just not a McCarthy guy. I think Dallas has a lot of talent this year. I'm just not a fan of McCarthy. I thought some of the decisions on 4th down were bad yesterday. Some of the play calls were bad. And, it looks like, I don't know that Dak should have played yesterday. He didn't look 100% to me yesterday. And once again, they always abandon the run when they get down early. The Dallas, if they haven't figured out when Dak throws the ball 40 or more times, they lose. When Dallas rushes the ball, they win.
I agree with that. I'm not a big Kellen Moore fan, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of talk that he might be the next Giants head coach, and I'm not. Really? I'm not on that. I'm not on that bandwagon.
Yes, especially with how it's going with Garrett. From Dallas.
Well,
not
my
matters,
thing. I honestly, my take, and not to change it a little bit, is I think the Giants get a new general manager. They fire Jason Garrett and get a new offensive coordinator and give Joe Judge one more year to prove himself.
Really?
I think that'll be that's the way they're going to go.
Aren't you kind of undermine your general manager by not letting
him?
No.
You're going to give him. You're going to give him the option. Go, hey, listen.
Okay,
look.
It's
a money thing, though. I'm looking at it as a money thing because you're still paying Ben McAdoo. You're still paying what's his name, the other coach. You're going to be paying 4 head coaches. Now you're definitely Pat Shurmur. You're paying Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, and the new guy. Yeah. So that's why I think you got to go one more year to at least get one more coach off the books. I mean, it is it's one of those things.
Yeah, I know.
It's a money thing, I think.
Sometimes you got to make the tough decisions. I understand what you're saying, but it just feels like this is what's been going on with the Giants. It's just mismanagement, bad decisions.
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like, a quarterback in a bad position. Has Judge been put in the best position with Danny Dimes at a quarterback and the way Gettleman's been drafting? Probably not. So you might be right. And you say, all right, look, come in, find your QB. I think we all know, I would hope, unless you're not watching the games, Danny Dimes ain't the quarterback of this team.
Right.
I would hope fans realize that, unless you're, don't watch football.
Right. I agree with that.
Joe Judge, I don't, it's hard to really evaluate him. You know what I mean? Because you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a quarterback, and the defense they've been inconsistent.
There's flashes. Yes, there's flashes.
There's
flashes there.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to really evaluate. You know what I mean? It is.
I agree with that.
And maybe you're right in that sense that maybe you give him a year, try to get him, but it's the thing too. You got to get him the quarterback, and then you're only going to give him 1 year with the quarterback, and then that's my whole point.
Right.
If you're bringing the quarterback,
but I also say that
a whole new system. Then
yes, but I also say that because there's no quarterback in this draft coming up. There really is no quarterback, so you're going to keep him and Danny Dimes one more year, and if it doesn't really pan out, then you're going to draft. your quarterback with your new head, Nevada Nick. There you are. You back?
No, you froze.
I don't see. I think he's.
I'm here. I'm here. Yeah,
okay.
it was. Yeah, you broke up there.
Right.
No. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think what's really interesting is going to be all the quarterbacks that move in the offseason. That's what's going to be interesting to me. And what teams want to make the moves. Because I really think there's going to be an opportunity, possibly the Browns don't keep Baker and move on from him and try to go get Rodgers or Wilson or Watson and take their team over the top. I mean, we'll see. And then you got the whole Aaron Rodgers situation. Look, like we said off air, Coach, he holds the cards now, Aaron Rodgers. Right. I mean, he looked terrible, Jordan Love, last night. And if you have Rodgers yesterday, you probably win that game by double digits. I mean, what's his face? The kicker misses 2 field goals, and they lost 13-7. So they basically played the Chiefs even with Jordan Love. So, yeah, you know, I like the Packers, but like I said, I think Aaron Rodgers, you know, especially if you lose the NFC Championship game again, I think he's going to want to move on.
I already think he's out the box. I already think he's got one foot out the door. This is Aaron Rodgers just showcasing for other teams. And I think they give him his release right before whatever bonus money he's due March 1st, April 1st, or whatever. I think he will hit the open market.
He came back. I don't know if there was some sort of promise, you know what I mean? But technically he is under contract for next year, technically. And I think they were hoping maybe they can fix things, but I don't know. I think he's going to want out after this year. And he waited late this year by doing it on draft night. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't think that's happening this year. I think basically whenever the season ends for them, that next week he'll say, I want out and get me out. You know what I mean? Unless obviously something's fixed. Well, Joe, I just don't see how you do that after everything you just gave up for Trey Lance.
Right. I agree.
Unless you're firing Shanahan and blowing it up and saying, because I agree, you know, if you bring in Aaron Rodgers there, they should have went and got Brady. And that's where they messed up. Put Brady on the Niners now, and all these picks, they could have just tried to bring people around them, but they didn't do that.
What are you getting for Trey Lance? He's unproven. You're not getting value for him.
And he hasn't looked good. I mean, you might get a first or a second. Might. I don't know though. I just because Lance hasn't looked great.
I don't think so, Joe. I think it's more like Cleveland. I think it's Cleveland, and you know, because they're a quarterback away.
Yeah, they say Denver
Russell Wilson, you know, Denver, I could see that. You know, he's used to playing in the cold.
Yeah, I think the Browns is the perfect scenario for him. I really do. I think you got everything you need there. Offensive line, running game, you know, Stefanski's a good coach. And look, I think he would take them to another level. Now, he might not have Devontae Adams there, but he's going to make guys better. You know, whenever you got Aaron Rodgers,
he's got Landry. They got, you know, big tight end. You know,
imagine this, Coach. Imagine, and this is what I do think. And I'm not standing up for OBJ, but where I think he got frustrated. You put Devontae Adams in Cleveland, who is a run-first team. He's not going to put the stats up that he had in Green Bay because Baker Mayfield's his quarterback, and he's in Cleveland. You know, when you got Aaron Rodgers throwing dimes to you, it makes you a better quarterback. And I think OBJ was frustrated because Baker missed him sometimes, obviously, when he was open. And, you know, he wasn't getting – you know how receivers, they want their targets, they want their stats, and that's what they live for. And sometimes –
well, that's how they get paid. But they also – that's how you get paid.
Right.
So – you know, and I think we talked about this off the air. That's another reason why the Raiders is a good fit because you're getting Derek Carr in more in his prime. He had Eli at the end, like you had mentioned before, and then Baker, who's Baker. I mean, I just didn't agree with him. So,
Joe, I don't know that they got the cap room for that to bring Rodgers in, and I definitely don't have the cap room to bring Rodgers and Adams in because that's why they traded the kid Buckner to the Colts because they couldn't sign him and Eric Armstead. So they signed Armstead. And look, that Niners, that defense isn't what it was. Colt McCoy looked like a fucking great quarterback yesterday. I mean, that defense isn't now, obviously Niners had some bad turnovers yesterday, but man, Colt McCoy looked good yesterday. Now, and that's without D-Hop too, Coach. It wasn't like you're playing with Hopkins and Green and the weapons they had. Colt McCoy looked good yesterday.
Well, because he was playing with guys he normally practiced with.
Yeah.
So there's some familiarity there, and it really translated onto the field. That's
what. You know what, Coach? Once again, what it speaks to, we've always talked about, is situation. Look how Colt McCoy looked in the Giants behind a shitty line, and not a great coach. Now he's in Cliff Kingsbury, has some weapons. Colt McCoy looked like a good NFL quarterback yesterday.
Right.
Situation speaks to everything. It really does.
Right.
But now we talked about, let's get into that Chiefs game a little bit, because once again, that Chiefs offense, and I think Andy Reid needs to figure it out. Look, you got to change the identity there. I think they need to almost become a little bit more of a run-first team and try to work to that line, because you got two rookies on the line. Orlando Brown was a Pro Bowl right tackle, not left tackle.
Right.
And then you got Tooney. They need to run the ball more, because it looks like they can run. Andy just doesn't run. And Mahomes, it's very odd. He's not taking what the defense gives him. He's going for the shot down the field all the time. And it's very un-Mahomes-like. He just hasn't played great. Now, he had a great play on fourth down yesterday that did look like old school Mahomes to, kind of seal the game. Maybe that helps him out going into the Raiders game this Sunday night. But, man, what makes you think it's going to change now? Because it seems like every week, this is the get-right game for the Chiefs. This is the week, and it's just not happening.
Right. I agree. It's just not happening, and I think it is. It falls on Andy. Remember he used to say, "Oh, we're going to get some road graders in here and run the football in Philadelphia." I remember that term he used, road graders, and it never amounted. So.
At least they're punter. But when you look in the NFC, look, it's an impressive win for the Cardinals yesterday when you're missing Kyler. But that's going to be the question with me, Coach, is one, Kyler's health, and then two, like I said to you off air as well, I could see them winning 13 games. 14 games and then losing in the with the one seed. You know what I mean? Because not much experience on that team in the playoffs. So what's this thing? Probably
Stiz makes a good point, because Robert Woods was that third guy.
No, Sammy Watkins.
Or Sammy Watkins, excuse me. Sammy Watkins was that third guy. And now he's gone. And that he was how important. You don't think of the third guy being that important.
Right. And Watkins made plays, especially in the Super Bowl, too. Watkins was huge in the Super Bowl for them. Yeah, that is a great point, Stiz. And I think a lot of them are, too, you can see it. They're taking their best corner and putting them, like what the Giants did. They took Bradbury, put him on Kelsey, and then they double Hill. And that's been the thing, which you got to work around it. You got to run the football, change it up, and run
them out of it.
Right. And it too, Coach. Once you start running the ball, that safety starts sneaking up. And now you can open up Tyreek, who's going to open up things in the middle for Kelsey, obviously. Yeah, and Stiz, they're trying to do things to get him the ball, running the ball and do things. He had a couple plays yesterday, but I agree. I don't know. I think that's another thing Mahomes is doing, Coach. I think, he's had so much success with Kelsey and Hill that maybe he's staring them down a little bit instead of just, taking, I saw it the one game where he could have just dumped it off to the running back and got 10 yards, or, it, Coach. You have so much success sometimes, it almost comes down to arrogance, and you got to adjust. And that's what Andy needs to do and Mahomes needs to do.
Thanks, Jared. Appreciate it. It's a big win.
Yeah, no, it is a big win for your Giants. I'm real curious to see, Coach, when our teams play, because it's so like they're both so up and down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to think it'll probably be a split, but we'll see, because it's I do think the Eagles, are going to be able to run the ball, obviously. And I'm curious to see how like I said, with the Giants, I still can't believe they took Tony instead of an offensive lineman, because it's clear. If you said what's the biggest weakness on the Giants, it's offensive line by far.
Right, but I think what's problematic to us Giant fans is Galladay made no sense. If you're picking Tony, if you went in that draft picking or saying you're getting a receiver,
right,
then Galladay made no sense. No,
100%.
Why? So
you
signed Galladay because you needed to go and get a lineman or a pass rusher,
right?
And you didn't.
Or if you get Tony, go take that money you spent on Galladay and
sign a lineman,
Chris Lindsey, the center, or Joe Tooney, or trade for Orlando Brown. Or I'd been fine with trading that pick to get Orlando Brown. And you got Thomas and Brown as your bookends. It's a start. And then you try to get some guys to put them in the middle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But look, that's one thing where teams are really trying to go now, and that's why you see teams like the Colts and guys like Quentin Nelson and the Cowboys have success, because they're really trying to hit you in the interior of the line right now in regards to the pass rush. You're seeing a lot of times where, like they would do with the NASCAR package and take an end and put them inside on the defensive tackle. So that they're really trying to beat you up the middle with these pass rushes now and hit you up the middle, especially with, it too, Coach. If you get through the middle, it's a running back that's supposed to pick it up. And a lot of these running backs just aren't ready for it. And because, you're supposed to go as a running back inside out. So if
they're making a business decision,
you're supposed to pick it up inside.
Right. And they're making a business decision.
Right.
At that point, so it's going to be it's tough. And you're right. Absolutely. They're trying to put those NASCAR guys in the middle, and because like you said, and the Raiders, I think they've fallen off. They used to have one of the top 5 lines in the game. I think they've kind of dropped a little bit. No, Nevada Nick was a halfback. What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, I was a wide receiver. Man, it's the truth. I would have a tread on those tires, man. I'm telling you. And you know what, though, too? Offensive linemen, too, and that's what goes to it, too. You know what they want to do. They want to run the ball, and they want to take it to that defense instead of – and that's why, like I said, at least Sirianni now is running the ball. But Andy used to do it in Philly all the time. The Eagles would start off bad, and then he'd realize I better start running the ball, and he'd start running the ball, and then in the playoffs he would, it's Andy. You're talking about a guy that, and I love Andy, but except for that Chiefs Super Bowl, has really kind of fell short a lot. Now, I know he's got a lot of wins, and he's a great coach, but man, if you take away that one, and I know now, but if you take away that one Super Bowl win, he's basically Marty Schottenheimer. Can't win the big game. Well, he is. I mean,
you're right. I'm not going to lie.
He got it done finally. But I think that was more. Not. I mean, Mahomes is a big reason for that. Mahomes was he's unbelievable. I mean, now you're not seeing that now, but you're talking about a guy that is, I mean, there's a reason they were calling him Baby Goat.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, the playoffs are going to be interesting, though, this year. I mean, and I know Joe had said he still thinks, Brady will be standing at the end, and I get it. But with the Bucs, I believe in the offense. It's, can the defense put it together? I do know part of it is health, so they got to get healthy. But, they're not showing it on the field defensively, and you are older on that defensive line with JPP and Sue, and they haven't played as well this year either. So, I mean, look, if the defense, and let's not forget, the Bucs last year were 7-5 and then turned it on. So if the Bucs can turn it on, and they got a better record right now, so it's definitely a team to look out for. But I mean, I know the Cardinals look good, I'm on the Bucks and Packers in the NFC, and I mean, you got to include the Cardinals and the Rams, obviously, but I think it's going to be Bucks or Packers. And in the AFC, man, I don't even know what to think.
I agree. I mean, there's so many. I mean, especially you thought Buffalo, and then they dropped to Jacksonville, and I thought, oh well, maybe they were looking ahead. You got the Jets coming up.
Yeah.
I mean, where were you looking ahead? I mean, it's Jacksonville.
Right. And you know it too, Coach. With them, you're 5-2. You see how it's going in the AFC. You got a great thing to, get ahead and get to that number 1 seed. Everything going through Buffalo, which, that's a great home field advantage, especially with that weather,
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that's a bad one yesterday. It really is. And, it makes you wonder because they couldn't run the ball and they could. I mean, now Josh Allen didn't play great, but he was running for his life yesterday. I mean,
the problem I think is, because now how important is the Patriot game now? Because the Pats are in it now. I mean, they're back to the normal, Patriots that you expect, winning in week in and week out.
And that's what people don't realize too. You look at the Patriots, they have a fumble against the Dolphins. Obviously, that the Cowboys game they could have won, and a missed field goal against the Bucks from being 7-2, 8-1. So this Patriots team's good, and Bill said it last week, and Coach Belichick, not many times is he happy at 4-4, but he said we're getting better every week, and I think he knows it, and I think he means it. And as Mac Jones goes, that team's going to go, and if they can run the ball and play defense, that's why I think an OBJ on that team could take them to another level.
Yeah. I could see it.
That would be just. I thought Bucks Chiefs was awesome because the old goat versus the new goat. I mean, you couldn't write a better script than that. Belichick versus Brady in the Super Bowl, and you know what? I don't think there isn't a chance of it right now.
Absolutely,
the AFC's wide open, and I don't know. Obviously, you got a lot of teams with better quarterback situations than the Patriots, but look at Belichick's coaching. I mean, the Bucs roster's better. He kept that game close. The Cowboys roster's better. He kept that game close. Bill knows what to do.
Right.
I mean, Coach, nobody knows more than you, a la Super Bowl 25, Giants, Bills. Belichick knows what he needs to do to keep his team in the game.
Absolutely. He is the man. And I think, granted, Tom Brady with the talent, but there is a reason you don't know any receivers for New England with all those Super Bowls. And there's no name guys besides Tom Brady because of Belichick and his schematics and what he did.
And Coach, what's funny, when they went and had the great receivers, they didn't win with Randy Moss. And then they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez and Wes Welker. Those guys none of them won Super Bowls. That's what's so crazy. And another game, not to bring up another one, but where he was a huge dog, was Patriots Rams. Brady's first year as starting QB when he took over for Bledsoe. Another huge upset in the Super Bowl that Belichick had. So he knows how to shorten that game and do things to keep his game in it. I mean,
because that was the biggest show on turf. That was the greatest show on turf. Yeah.
Right. Not many people can confuse Brady, especially, look, he's practiced against Belichick for 20 years, and he still confused Brady in that last game, obviously a few weeks ago. So, Patriots are putting it together. I mean, that's going to be a team, they need to get a couple weapons. The defense is there. They need to get a couple weapons on the outside, a little bit more maturity out of Mac Jones, and they're going to be right amongst the good teams again.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And, they're missing a beat, and now they're back right back on. It was like a little blip. That's all it was.
And what's funny, Coach, is Mac Jones fell to them and right in their lap. I mean, and look, I know those other quarterbacks are in different situations, so it's hard to evaluate. But I can tell you this, and Joe Montana went out and said it. I would definitely rather have Mac Jones right now than Trey Lance. And I know you're only looking at one game with Trey Lance, but he didn't look like he could do much throwing the ball. Now, maybe in a couple years that could change. But Mac Jones looks formidable. He really does.
He looks like a leader out there. Like
Yeah.
he looks like he's a seasoned guy who's been in that offense for a while.
Right.
He doesn't look like a rookie.
Right.
In that, but part of that, I think we said this last year, or at least leading up to the draft. If there was a quarterback, it is Mac Jones, because he kind of fits that Belichick way.
Yeah.
It's Alabama. It's, but they kind of do. It's that very Tom Brady-esque in not that I'm not saying the kid's the GOAT already. I'm just saying in the style and the way he plays kind of emulates a little bit. It reminds me of a Tom Brady when he's the way he's playing,
And look, Coach, as he plays more games, sees more defenses, reads more defenses, and maybe gets a little bit more of improvement in regards to his weapons on the outside, he's going to get better. I mean, this is a kid that, obviously, McDaniels is a great offensive coordinator, and I think the coach in waiting in New England, he should just get better, because you're just, if he's got the work ethic like Brady, that's why Brady got better, because Brady works his tail off, and that's like, just like I said with Manning, those guys are so good with their pre-snap reads and knowing what's coming before they kill, and then adjusting to it. I mean, it's just, and that's what quarterbacking. Look, it's always great when you see the Lamar Jacksons and the physical abilities of some of these guys and with their athletic ability, but quarterbacking is up here. The great ones, not to be, but you get it done up here. It's knowing where the gap in the defense is going to be, knowing what to take with the defenses. I mean, it's a mental thing with quarterbacks. It really is.
Absolutely. Now, you have any interest in tonight's game?
I like the Bears. I think it's too many points. Steelers offense shouldn't lay a 7 to anybody. I would say by the hook too. I like Bears, and a stat Joe gave me, and a great stat, Joe. Teams that have covered 1 week against teams who didn't cover that same week, 34-18, I think it was, Joe. 6-0 this week. Last week, the Steelers covered. The Bears didn't. So it's playing into that. And look, I think Justin Fields is getting a little bit better. I thought he played better last week. I would take the points tonight with the Bears.
You think the Bears actually win the game, or do you think?
I think they could. I mean, that Steelers offense, Coach, I mean, is so just not a lot of talent. I mean, Big Ben can still get the ball down the field a little bit, but he's a statue back there. Now, no Khalil Mack, so that factors in. But I see a low-scoring game. So, I mean, I'm going to take the touchdown. I don't know that the Bears win. Can they win? Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't bet a money line, but I like them with the touchdown, especially when you buy the hook and get a touchdown and a half.
Okay. All right. Because I really, as a Giant fan, we have their first round pick. I get it. I'm rooting against Chicago week in and week out.
I'm rooting against Miami weekend and week out. I want to get that number 1 pick. Although, Coach, I was going to take them to beat the Texans in my Survivor pool, and then I heard Tyrod was playing. And I said, Tyrod might help that. Tyrod did win game 1 with them when everybody thought they were going to lose to the Jags. I said, maybe Miami, maybe Tyrod comes in. I switched it to the Cowboys, and boy, I got kicked out. I still got a team left, but I lost in my suicide pool because of the freaking Cowboys.
Well, that's what you get, man. You should have taken the Giants, baby. The Giants with the big win.
Yeah, who did? I mean, I did think they were going to win, but I don't have that much that big of balls.
Oh man, it was just fabulous time. I can't talk enough about Johnny at Peter Dillon's put on a spread. I mean, 3 busloads of people showed up. I mean, it was phenomenal. I went over to the Giant tailgate, one of the Giant tailgates around, and they're like, "Where's your tailgate?" And I point, and they look over. You're with them?
Yeah, they're all good people.
Yeah, I'm with them.
Nah, yeah, I've been
not meaning in a bad way.
Right,
Just that,
you're a Raiders fan,
you
but no.
look over there and see that sea of black. You
Yeah.
saw the sea of black and silver. Just it was intimidating a little bit.
But like I said, they're a good crew. They're good people.
It was great. Oh,
Yeah,
it was a great crew. Everybody was awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, they're all really good people, and
except for one, but other than that, it was great.
Oh yeah, well, we all know about the one, and he's lucky.
Yeah, we know about
he's lucky. One. It's easy when you got all your crew with you to talk shit.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Do it mano a mano, but he's not the type to do that.
No, he don't.
I'm surprised he didn't bring his the woman he pays the.
No, I think she was there.
Was she?
He had a companion. He had a companion. He did have a companion.
I wonder if his wife would like to know that, but
yeah. All right. Sounds good. Listen, so Thursday night, I'll be on, and I'm going to get into a lot more Raiders, my stories of the game and stuff. I didn't want to take up the whole time with that but it was phenomenal, and I can't thank all of the Raider Nation enough for the hospitality and bringing me on board. It was a fun time. And so we'll see Thursday night and have fun, enjoy the game tonight. And we're having a little bit of difficulty in Nevada, Nick, with giving us his profile, I guess. But with that, but remember, listen, we appreciate all the love. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody about it. Go over to YouTube, ring the bell, subscribe. We're also Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, it's on there too. So you can listen to it if you can't watch us. We appreciate all of it. So we appreciate it. Everyone, have a good night. Thanks for checking us out.